Hi, this is Cindy Tells It Like It Is. So today I want to talk about cruelty. I was reading a column from Variety about Jeff Daniels today, and he talked about his views on Trump, but what's gone on in our civilization, basically. Very smart man, very interesting. And of course, there were all kinds of really rude comments like, do people really have all this time in their life that they can write this bullshit? And no, they had no idea who he was. They were like, isn't he from Dumb and Dumber? Oh, well, yeah, you know what? But he's had a really stellar career on Broadway and in film. And if you haven't watched any of his films, you really should. And I wish you could have seen him as Atticus Finch on Broadway. I wish I could have too. But at any rate, it's just like such bullshit, such griping, such hyperbole, and just blaming, blah, blah, blah. So I started thinking about cruelty and what he was saying, actually what Jeff Daniels had said. Actually, it's on MSNBC too, on the podcast, The Best People. So on Nicole Wallace. So anyway, if you want to watch it, it's very good. But I started thinking about the decline of civilization, which is never a good sign, and the bullying, the cruelty that Trump has unleashed and made the norm. He's made it our, just way of being with each other, blaming each other. Democrats want to destroy the country. No, I'm a Democrat, and I want to uphold our democracy and our Constitution. I want to do what's helpful and what brings up the common denominator. All the people who need help, I want to help them. I want the government to help them. That's what I think the government should do. So anyway, you see all this. The fact that Trump put an a video of Obama being carted off by police. Seriously? A president? But you know what? A lot of the MAGA people want to see a strong man. There's a book called The John Wayning of Jesus. And, sadly, I think a lot of our churches have fallen prey to thinking like, oh, Jesus was too wimpy. We're going to go back and just study the Old Testament because we don't really like to hear that we should be doing unto others. We should be kind. We should be compassionate because that's how Jesus was. Nope. No, I'm not interested in that. We want tough guy God who was going to sacrifice Isaac's son. Yeah, that's what we want. So anyway, this has really led to, I think, a demise of our civilization. There's one thing being a strong man, but there's another being cruel. So what's going on with ICE? If you have the nerve, go watch YouTube videos of these ICE agents carting off these human beings. They're screaming and crying, and it is truly heartbreaking. Okay, so we wanted to deport the criminals or whatever. We're not. There are not that many of them. So you've been deluded, MAGA base. Even if you want to deport every single person in the country illegally, which is like, I'm wondering how our farms are going to operate, how there's a meat packing plant in Nebraska that now has nobody to work there. And they say, oh yeah, these immigrants were taking American jobs. No, the head of the meat packing plant says, no, you guys don't want to work here. It's a terrible job, but it pays decently for immigrants, and they gravitate to those kinds of jobs. They just want to make money, send money back home. I know that our church's Afghan refugees went out to Nebraska to work in a meatpacking plant because a bunch of other refugees told them, that was a place to go make more money. So yeah, the ICE agents carting off people and saying cruel things to people. Some lady said to one of the ICE agents, "I don't want you doing this in my neighborhood." And they said, "We're going to do it all over the country. The country is like our, our turf now. Like they are the gang leaders. Seriously, they could be the Venezuelan gangs the way they behave. That office is attracting every thug in the country. I'm sorry, ICE agents, you're behaving like a bunch of thugs. So I just not for that. This is just a disgusting way to behave. And these prisons that we're keeping people in, concentration camps, making them eat like dogs, torturing them. I hear people say on the news, we're better than that. I don't think this message is getting through, but I hope we're better than that. I hope we can rebound from this. So, the cruelty goes on. Cruelty to trans people. I know this is a hot button. I'm going to tell you a little bit about trans people. So here's the thing. They're trans kids who want to transition, do not get surgery. That is not something that happens. Maybe it happens in a couple of cases, but no. I've worked with trans kids. Here's what happens. They decide they're super uncomfortable in whatever body they're born into. And believe me, this has been going on a long time. This is not new. Jane Lynch from Glee and whatever the game show is she's on said if this had been an option when she was a kid, she would have transitioned. She would have become a man. And if you see Jane Lynch, she is very masculine. She feels uncomfortable. It feels like she's uncomfortable in a female body. So yeah. Anyway, what they do is they start to dress in the manner of the other sex, the sex they're more comfortable with. But kids I've worked with are still really uncomfortable, with their breasts, or so they try to bind their breasts, and what they want to do is take testosterone, because what it does is block the changes into puberty, so that if they do want to get a change, a sex change, any kind of bodily change in the future, it's easier, less expensive, less invasive. So, and hormonal T it'll reverse. If you stop taking it, it reverses the changes. So, my feeling is, don't pass these laws saying parents can't do what they want with their kids after listening to their kids, talking to their kids. By the way, this is not an easy process. Even get on T. Got to go to an endocrinologist and got to have evaluation for gender and all kinds of stuff. So don't butt in, people. Nancy Mace with their bathrooms. You know what? In Wando High School, kids have been going to the bathroom they feel like going to the bathroom in for years, since I've been here and before. Nobody cares. And the teachers will call them by the pronouns they want. I know people are up in the air about that. Parents should know. But by the way, if parents don't know, that's because parents shut their kid down. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's not that they're the wonderful open parents. No. They're the parents who are giving off the vibe to their kid that, every kid I've worked with who is uncomfortable in their own body has tried to talk to their parents, but their parents are like, oh no, that's not right. You used to wear dresses when you were little. They don't listen. So these kids try to use their teachers as somebody, just this little modicum of acceptance of who they feel they are. So, I'm not into trans athletes, somebody who's a man participating in women's sports. I have a very good friend who's a bicyclist. I want to say competitive biker. Anyway, and she encounters this, and I'm like, that's, if you want to transition, maybe you don't participate in sports. And I know a lot of progressives jump on my case for that, but I think that makes common sense. At any rate, I digress. So the thing is, stop it. Stop being cruel to people. I think also some of these MAGA people, they don't even know anybody who's trans or potentially trans or any of that. So go meet one. Go meet somebody. It's harder to hate when you know somebody. So anyway, I wish we could come up with some ways that would make it harder to hate, because I'm wishing on a star. Thank you.